Hello and welcome to the new Art Talk, where I will speak today about one of the works of art that interested me most at the one of the latest Christie's auctions in May. And this work of art was created by Jean-Michel Basquiat, an artist of the greatest significance for the contemporary art. And well, the work which he created in 1982 has a great possibility to study what contemporary art is and what Basquiat has even enriched it with. So right now I would like to show you the piece. So the name of the work of art which we are going to talk about today is the portrait of the artist as a young derelict. And here is the work of art. So it is a really multi-paneled piece. More than 10 pieces were combined to create this triptych. And here we can see how it is full functioning, 3 panels moving, and it is made of the acrylic oil stick and hardware on a hinged wood construction. You can also see the great dimensions of the piece, which is 207 on 209, and also had this cultural identity with this 3D dimension, also important for Basquiat. And this sculptural element of the piece is even enhanced by introducing a companion piece of sculpture, which I will show you later. So this work of art is considered to be a sort of self-portrait and a visual biography of the artist. But let me remind you the name of this work of art, and it refers to the famous literature piece by James Joyce, who is the author of A Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. And so Jean-Michel Basquiat named this work of his portrait of an artist as a young derelict. And so we have this reference to Joyce, and simultaneously, when thinking about Joyce, we not only consider this earlier piece, which the name of Basquiat's work derives from, but also the style of the stream of consciousness that James Joyce created in the beginning of the 20th century with his greatest novel, Ulysse. And so the concept of this stream of consciousness is the coexistence of the inner world and outer world. And you let every piece of the outer world comprise your own portraiture. So the world becomes you and you become the world. And this eternal reflection between the human being and all other human beings that become you, and then you always go through them on this journey of life. This experience that any human being is faced during the daytime, nighttime in his life course, this was the concept that James Joyce described in literature, in his special style and his artworks. And this is exactly the concept that Basquiat related to and felt very true to his own existence. And so with this in mind, let us look carefully to the composition and to the elements that make this piece together. So this idea of this wooden and painterly collage, this mosaic that comes together. So Basquiat here used some found pieces of wood, metal plates, pieces of hardware such as hooks, bolts, fastening to create this multi-paneled support consisting of wooden panels and doors hinged along some of the sides to form this functioning triptych. And three major pieces come together. So let us look at them from the frontal side and then from the back side. On the back side, on this left panel, which is the door that was used with found drops of oil on it and some inscriptions made by Basquiat's contemporaries unknown to him. And so he used this this door as a left wooden panel of his triptych, and on the back side of it, so he put his name, he signed it here, he titled it here and dated here. So the portrait of the artist as a young derelict. These are the words of the title that we can see on the backside of this panel. And in this central part, as you can see, we also have the element, the basic element of the door. So the whole triptych serves as an altar. And in this medieval conception of art, which was very familiar to Basquiat, who studied it and related to it, every icon and each altar is understood by the medieval artist and by Basquiat himself as a door, as a portal, as a window through which the essence of life comes towards the viewer, and the viewer can go through to eternity. And so the idea of a work of art as a door is ancient as art itself. And so by using this found door, Basquiat actually even hyperbolized this concept of the art's mission. So let us look at this central part of the triptych. And as you can see from both frontal and backside, this panel has two elements. One is wider, the other is more narrow. And here the architectural concept of the door helps also to divide the panel into squares and into several parts, and Basquiat by paints also goes along with this square-based concept of structuring the central panel. And together, combined, they create a sort of a ladder. And the concept of a ladder, of composition going downwards and upwards is also repeated in this narrow right part of the central panel. And then we have the right panel, and it is presenting us the main character of this work of art. It is represented by a very important and often repeated character of a mask, a skull mask, by which Basquiat always represented not only a human being and the mortality of a human being, but also the human nature of himself, self-portrait, and the mortality of this self representation of a human being. So it's the human nature itself, and very personally reflected mortality of the human nature. So let us go inside of each panel and see the basic elements that construct the composition. We shall begin with this central panel, which is the heart of the triptych. It can, as you could see, close, and when the wings close, we don't see the central part, and the opening is, it's kind of a performative act, and so this where it all begins, in the center. So we can see that this central panel, its two elements connected together. The left part of the central panel should be read from bottom. It should be read from top to bottom. So we begin here. And this is a reference, this element, this is a reference to the street Skully game, which was famous in the New York City since 1950s, and very famous in the area where Basquiat lived, and it was played by children in 1970s, 1980s, when he was a street artist, and so he was very familiar with this game, and the nature of the game was used here as a model of life itself, and it also gave the principle of structuring the composition of the whole piece of the portrait of the artist as a young derelict. And so we go from this highest point downwards. This is the reference to the caps that the players used in the game, usually the bottle caps, and so the game begins. This is a game where you are either a victim or a winner. You are if you are a winner, you are the killer. You are the murderer, you kill others, or you are getting killed. So, of course, metaphorically, by using just these bottle caps, children play. But this is like the metaphor of the real dangers that exist in life. And so in this next white square, we see the representation of some elements of a human figure, the ankles, the foot, the ankles, the fingers of the foot, they are cut. And these black drops here of paint, they symbolize the blood itself. And so the game begins. There is a danger of the loss. You lose some, and then you win some. And here we have this crown, which is a symbol of the triumph. The triumph of the artist, the triumph of the winner. And so actually this, the danger of the game, the danger of art was true and real for graffiti artists of that period of the beginning of 1980s. And Basquiat himself faced this danger, and his friends were graffiti artists were also in danger. And the tragedy of his friend who was murdered by police, being a black graffiti artist in the New York City, was had a tremendous effect on Basquiat. And so this life game that can lead to death, this art game that can lead to real danger, that is really there. And the Skully game is the game that can represent it in this playful way, but it also dealing with some real issues, and it helps Basquiat to speak here about this fragility of life. And so you lose some, and this sacrifice is leading to victory, and actually losing becomes winning. And that's how the image of the greatest sacrifice in the history of Christianity comes into this work of art. And so the idea of this king who becomes the king through sacrifice, through losing life, through losing this earthly course of existence, is connected with Christ, Jesus Christ himself. And on this right narrow panel, which is put near this wider part of the central panel, we begin going, so we came from the upper part downwards, and then we start ascending. And the idea of death, which is represented by this French word mort, and actually gives this work of art another identification as nature morte, which is still life. And we start by this image of crucifixion and go upwards to this house. The art historians who studied Basquiat's traditions, the language of his art, they testified the importance of the Egyptian art for him, and he created many works of art in 1982, which are directly connected with this Egyptian culture and the Egyptian hieroglyphs. So this idea of presenting the images in this descending and ascending order also goes to Egyptian way of placing hieroglyphs. And by the way, here, one of the art historians, Klaus Curtis, he considers this word going to not only the part of the body, the ankle, but also to the Egyptian symbol of life, which is Ankh, and which stems from the similar sounding word of a sandal strap, ankle strap. And so this, you lose life, but you gain eternity. And so this house, which is the house of death, and also an Egyptian symbol of a house rising as a rocket to eternity. It is white on black, it is light in the dark, it is leading upwards. And we have a 5-storied building here with each window repeating the cross of crucifixion, which we see in the lower part of this narrow panel. Let me look at the left panel here, and then we'll take a look at the right panel. So left panel is actually the appropriation of the found materials, and it refers to the origins of Basquiat as a street artist. So the support is made of several pieces of wood held together along the upper and lower edges, and the original bolt is on the extreme left edge. Over the wood, metal plates had been affixed and then covered with multiple layers of paint. So he uses pre-existing painterly elements, such as drips of paint graffiti tags, some by himself, some by his contemporaries. We see a famous graffiti S motif, and also some words which represent the characters, the New Yorkers, the people who could be completely unknown to Basquiat, to whom the door could belong to, and they put their names on the door. We can see such names as James, repeated several times. We see the word Matara, which could also be the nickname of another person, and annex, and J, and the human figure in its childish drawing represented here. And so these, for Basquiat, in this scheme of this Skully game that he used as the basis of the composition, these could be the characters who could also play this live game together with us. We start our life, we play this game which could give us victory or loss, and this is life. And these drips of paint, which famously refer to the Sight Wombly painting, which was important for Basquiat in his development as an artist. And in Sight Wombly's art, these drips of paint always make for the connection between distant elements, distant characters in the art world. And so this stream of life, this stream of consciousness and unconsciousness that also James Joyce was talking about. And so all these traces of existence and moves in life and moves off life, that goes along and through us with maybe us not noticing them. But Basquiat is the one who is noticing these traces of existence of other human beings that are reflected on us and referred to by us. And so on the right panel, we actually see the main character, and he is the king, and he is the winner. And this winning game is gained by overcoming danger, by this extreme anxiety and the anger. Anger was the feeling that overflowed Basquiat in those days when his art was so dangerous and could cost life, and costed life to his friends. And we see the black face, red eyes, and red mouth. And these words here, which are striked out, they mean here is the king. So the winner of the Skully game actually came with these words, I am a killer. And this denotes the victory as at a hard price. And it actually makes one hesitate if this kind of victory is really necessary, or is it worth it? So in the bottom part of this right panel, we see again the reference to the scheme of a Skully game. And one more time, the scheme of a Skully game appears on a sculptural object, which according to Basquiat's plan had to accompany the portrait of the artist as a young derelict. The name of the sculpture is C Plate 3. It was made in 1982. And so here you can see the photograph of children playing this Skully game in New York, and the sculpture by Basquiat in the left. So this is the scheme in the center, and he repeats this scheme on top of this box, which is also repeating the word here is the king in Latin. So the point of the game was to go through all the numbers in boxes with this bottle cap. The player was flicking the bottle cap, and so the cap couldn't land on lines, it couldn't land in here, it never could land here if it landed in the skull. So this central part of the game scheme was called the skull. And so if it ended there, the players got stuck there until it was freed by the other players. And so when the winner was finishing the circuit of 4 trapezoids performed in succession of a single turn, he was pronouncing the words, I am a killer. And so this ambivalence of the victory, which is achieved by murdering others, and this bravery of the victim that becomes the real winner by sacrificing himself. This ambiguity of the game and of life is what Basquiat made, what was important for him, and what appealed to him in this parallels that he is making between his art and this game. And so now we have identified all the main characters and elements in this work of art. And let me go back to the name of the piece and to the reference to James Joyce that is made here. in his novel, Joyce said, if Socrates leaves his house today, he will find the sage seated on his doorstep. If Judas go forth tonight, it is to Judas his steps will tend. Every life in many days, day after day, we walk through ourselves, meeting robbers, ghosts, giants, old men, young men, wives, widows, brothers-in-law, but always meeting ourselves. And so here in this work of art, Basquiat produces a sort of a visualization of this concept of this stream of life with all its dangerous triumph, losses, black and white phases, colors and lack of colors, these victories and losses. And the life is a battle, life is a game of Skully, and life leads to death, and that's the law of life as in the game. So it is also the visual portrait of a sacrifice that we face in joining this way to eternity. So we meet other people and we go through them, and that's how we play with them, or we conquer them, we become victims of them. And on this way, we live our life, and we always meet ourselves. So all these characters, they come together by drips of the paint, by the mask of the skull, by ankles, by these crucifixions, or by these names scripted on the doors. So we become what we are in this labyrinth of life, which is always balanced by death. So Jean-Michel Basquiat always was in the process of reflection of what life is about, of what a human being is about, of what art is about. And for him, as for any great artist, art was always a connector between mortality and eternity. And in this work of art, portrait of the artist as a young derelict, he produced one of the greatest examples of how the work of art can be the portal to this a better way of understanding of human existence. Thank you very much for listening and for watching, and I hope to meet you soon in new parts of this Art Talk series that I produce, getting inspired by some new artworks which I see at auctions around the world. So thank you very much for your interest in art, and goodbye.